Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first ever episode of the Fix It in Post podcast. I guess it's a podcast. I don't know exactly what this is. This is kind of just my attempt at getting something a bit more regular on the channel because, as a lot of you may know, if you're a compositor like me or just in the VFX scene in general, it gets very hard to balance living a regular life outside of work and also things like crunch time and really crazy deadlines. So I just wanted to get something a bit more regular out there. A lot of my breakdowns, when I'm doing stuff outside of work, I really want it to look the best it possibly can. So it can take like a month or two just to get one shot out. And it just feels underwhelming. And so I thought, I'll just get something a little bit more regular out there, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill. And what that is going to be is basically it's just going to be me breaking down VFX shots from popular, not even popular, just movies and shows in general, whether they're upcoming, already released, good, bad, whatever. Obviously, I'm going to be tackling a lot of that from the compositing standpoint because that's what I do. I'm not going to be tackling things like liquid simulations and the voxel count and all this sort of stuff because it's just not what I do. I'm not the authority to speak on that. Not that I'm even an authority on compositing per se. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm a senior compositor at DNEG or ILM and I've got 30 years under my belt. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just going to, react to things, bring my own perspective, break down a few things and hopefully let you guys in on some of the, I guess insider is the right word, more behind the scenes sort of tricks and, hopefully getting some knowledge along the way. That's mostly what I do my videos for, is to just bring attention to compositing as an art form and what it does to enhance things in general. Whether it is obvious, like big CG battle shots, or whether it is very invisible, I guess. And speaking of invisible, that actually ties into what we're going to be looking at today. So today is a very exciting one. I loved this movie when I saw it in cinema. Loved it so much, I'm actually going back to see it again, which never happens. And not only am I going back to see it again, I'm going back to see it in IMAX, which is going to be amazing. I cannot wait. But as you saw by the title, because I'm just going to call it The Fantastic Four, we are going to be talking about The Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, obviously, we don't have the full movie to break down. That will be a lot easier with older things. This is a brand new release, just came out. There will be spoilers discussed, not shown, because we're just going to be breaking down the First Steps final trailer here. We're not going to be, looking up audience reactions and stuff like that because that's just not what we're here. We need, proper shots to look at. And, there will be spoilers discussed because, like I said, I have seen it before. And apparently YouTube or Marvel Studios only uploads their stuff in 1080. Interesting. I thought they for sure would have done 4K. But, yeah, we're just going to be going through this trailer here. Now, it goes without saying that this is going to be a pretty visual podcast. That's why I'm like, I don't even know if it is a podcast. Is it more just, we're going to be looking at stuff? I don't know. I don't know if it's just a video or what. But, we're going to be looking at the trailer. So I'm going to be circling things. I'm going to be talking about things. And I'm going to be saying things like, this right here, instead of describing what it is. So I would highly recommend watching this rather than listening to it. But if you're just wanting some talking in the background and some general VFX talk and buzzwords being thrown around, sure. Chuck me on audio, that's perfectly fine. Put me on your second monitor while you eat your lunch and play Marvel Rivals. Who knows what your setup is. But let's just get straight into it because I have been talking for a while. It's the introductory episode. We've got to get our grounding, obviously. But I'm very excited about this. So, I'm going to be going through, which I've already said, but expect a lot of pausing. This trailer's only 2 minutes 24. I don't think we're going to have any problem reaching, an hour or however long podcasts usually are, because I watched this earlier today in preparation for this, and man, there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, both good and bad. And keep in mind, I love this movie. Nothing I say is necessarily a negative of the movie, just more of a critique on the certain execution of things. Which, again, I'm not claiming to be some god, but there's just things I would have done differently. So let's get right into it. We're, of course, going to be playing without audio because I don't want to get copyright struck on my first video on this. So let's actually, good thing that I paused on this one because this is one of the first ones I wanted to talk about. So, well, I'm getting used to this program. All right, so as you can see here, this is one of the first things I noticed, and it's something I've talked about quite a bit on the channel, but it's the chromatic aberration. So if we look right here, this is the chromatic aberration. I wish I could see my mouse. Why can I not see my mouse? Oh, apparently it doesn't work with the Wacom, guys. That would have been good to know beforehand. Hey. But yeah, so this is the chromatic aberration in the lens. It is a very, very awesome lens effect that I absolutely love. And I notice if you look down here, right there, it's actually like way fuzzier than the ones over here. All my circles are going to miss, by the way. I can't see my cursor, so you're going to have to deal with that. But what that is this was clearly shot on an anamorphic lens. Those are very common characteristics of those lenses, and they're very popular because they just look nicer. It's hard to explain unless you kind of know what that means, but they do just look nicer. And it's kind of... Okay, I might just have to use my mouse, but if you can see here, these straight edges that I've traced extremely badly, they are a little bit curved. It will look better. They're very slightly curved, not much. Now, usually you just say, oh no, that's just the structure curving, but as you can see, no, it's straight here. And the reason that's curving is because of the lens distortion, which is also very common. It's common on every lens because it's inherently something you get with lenses, but I feel like it's pushed harder on anamorphic lenses, which is cool. I like the lens distortion. I love the way it makes it look. And yeah, all three of those characteristics. So we got chromatic aberration, lens distortion, and we got this edge blur that I was talking about. Like here compared to here, it's just a lot fuzzier. All anamorphic lens traits. Same with the bokeh or bokeh or depth of field or I don't know, aperture, whatever you want to call it. The blurry bits when you put something out of focus. They will all be different on anamorphic lenses compared to regular lenses. Now, whether this was actually shot on an anamorphic lens or whether it's CG made to look like an anamorphic lens, I don't know. I believe this shot is, an actual shot. It's not, CG, because why would you CG this? This is so easy to build. This isn't like a super complicated, battlefield or, big spaceship. This is so easy to build. Maybe I could see the big circle here being CG if they couldn't get, a final design, because I've heard that does happen quite a bit. But that being said, these suits were they were locked pretty early, so I doubt this is CG here. This all just looks like a practical set. Maybe some supplementary light flares. I don't see how you could get all of this extra lighting with, I don't know. Maybe they just did it. I don't doubt that they could do it. But anyway, I've spent the first however long talking about a shot that isn't even a VFX shot, so we're off to a great start. But I just wanted to point out those artifacts here because they are very prominent, and obviously the CG would be matching those, and that's one thing I really appreciate because that matches my personal sort of shot style, I guess. I always, no matter what it is, because a lot of my personal projects are just individual shots or a sequence of just a few shots, I always make it look like anamorphic lenses, even though I don't own any anamorphic lenses, so I can't shoot anything like that. But I love chromatic aberration. I love, edge blur. I love all that sort of stuff. And the vignette as well, which you can see. I love all that. And yeah, I just really appreciated that was part of this. because that really made me, I don't know, just kind of, I guess, connect with it better is probably the best word. Yeah. It just felt like, oh man, I can relate to that touch that they've put in there because that's what I would have done. It makes it feel a little bit more like, oh man, I'm involved. I'm not actually involved, obviously. I didn't work on this. I have some friends at Frame Store. A lot of these VFX went through Frame Store, as everything does. It's one of the most popular studios. And I was like, dude, are you working on Fantastic Four? Like, you have to say yes. They weren't. Unfortunately, they're working on some other stuff, which I'll probably look at next episode. That'd be very cool. Get some insider knowledge. But they weren't working on this, unfortunately. But dude, if they were, I would have pestered them so bad. So they're probably lucky they weren't. I would have loved to work on this. It looks so good. But yeah, let's keep going. We'll skip all these because these are, standard. Again, no sound because I don't want to be copyright. So, let's get onto this. This, to me, it's some of the better screen replacements that I've seen. Not the best. Definitely not the best. You can still tell. It's got some of that sort of artificial glow, and if you look around here, like they're very pretty looking sort of pixels, I guess you could call them. And overall, it's kind of just not a super realistic design. I don't know. It's just there to say alert and all those smaller details. They're not really there to kind of make sense. They're just there to grab your attention for a second and you move on. But it's very good. The way they've, been able to keep these reflections, the levels they've got them at, it's all good. It's all standard for sure. But I think the execution of this is where it stands out. You would expect this, especially in a shot like this, you would expect that detail. This is either, my guess, would be, this right here is obviously what's being replaced. Everything else looks practical. I don't think that'd be CG. That'd be pointless to make that in CG. That'd be insane if they did that. This right here is obviously what's being replaced. And these reflections here and here, obviously, have been brought back. And there's a couple up here. They've obviously been brought back. There's obviously going to be a million sort of reflections that we're not seeing. And so how they've done that is either by just having a sheet of glass over like a green, I don't know, you wouldn't get a green light. That would remove the reflections entirely, so that's not how you would tackle that. I'm guessing just like a green sheet of paper or something, realistically, or it's completely black. Now, that's the best way to preserve reflections because you're getting it 100% how you need to. You're getting all of the micro details, you're getting absolutely everything. Nothing can be lost in a key. The track is kind of a whole other story, though. There are plenty of points to track on this. That's why I don't think, I really don't think that the watches themselves are CG. If this was all CG, fair play, it looks fantastic. I really don't think it is. But, if you're comping this, let's have a look. So, is this working? Yeah, it is. So, for example, you could track, just straight up the corners. They're pretty good spots. If the movement isn't too parallaxy, well, why am I over there? You can track one of these, or just like a flat spot like this right here. Pretty much anything on this is trackable. It's all in focus. There's lots of good contrast. It's really good. So I don't think they would need to have some green for a key and then some tracking markers, because the tracking markers would also just straight up remove more of the reflections because it would interfere with them, and you just have to kind of remake them, which would be so much wasted work. And if that is how they did it, I feel very sorry for those compers, but I don't think that's how it is. I think it's just pure black, tracking using a corner pin, whatever method. There's a million ways to do this. And then that way, you can just get a roto of the screen, plus it back over, you've got your reflections. Maybe with some level adjustments and stuff. But the graphics themselves, um, I have a feeling, just based on some previous projects I've been on, I have a feeling this was probably just made by a compa. It's very simple and easy to achieve. I doubt this was made by like a graphics artist or a dedicated designer. It's there like three times in the movie, I think, maybe four, from memory. It could be way more, but I could just be remembering it wrong. But yeah, I doubt it would be a dedicated designer. I feel like it would just be a compa, and it's such a simple animation too. If you have a look at it, um, how do we go back quicker? Okay, yeah. So it's a really simple animation. So it's like it literally just turns off. It's not even an animation. It's just one flick. It's just an invert basically. So yeah, I feel like this was probably just a compa. Got like a texture of the pixels, or they made one. The pixels. Make a couple, just repeat them a bunch of times. It would have worked. Um, some constants, some text nodes, maybe. Well, obviously you would need the text nodes, but whether or not that text node is just being used straight over the top of it, I don't know. To be honest, you could probably just manually do them. I don't know, but yeah, I feel like it was just done by a compa. It doesn't look like a dedicated designer thing, which is cool, because that's happened a few times where a client has needed this extra element. Actually, I can tell a story because I did it. So this client needed a matte painting of sorts. It wasn't like a proper matte painting. That's when you do bring in a dedicated artist. But they needed something like a matte painting. It was a midway between a clean plate, but then also bringing in some new buildings, and there was an establishing shot. And yeah, I kind of just said, why don't I have a crack at it? I did it. They liked the idea. Obviously, it wasn't perfect on the first go. Nothing ever is. So, if you're ever thinking that something is perfect on the first go, you're wrong. I'm sorry. It takes, that's never correct. I suffered through that in my early days. Everyone does. But unfortunately, very unfortunately, it wasn't perfect on the first go. So, I had to reiterate and reiterate. But what ended up in the final movie was that painting, which was cool because it ended up on a couple shots. So I kind of just acted as like a look development sort of person. It was an Australian movie. I guess I can say the name. I guess it's called In Vitro. It came out a while ago. It is a cool movie. I liked it. So yeah, no, it was good. It was good, and that happens a lot. So I'd imagine that's what happens here. And same with, let me circle it if I can. Whoa, I was way off. Same with this alert right here. Yeah, that would almost definitely be the same thing. If not, you could probably just render that and transform it down. Not transform it down, but you know what I mean. Just bring it down. There you go. Don't even need a separate sort of element. But yeah, that's kind of all for that. If we keep going, I liked this. This isn't something you see very often, and I just want to make sure. Yeah, no, I'm not getting tricked by her movement. I don't think so, anyway. Oh, maybe I am. Let's have a look at some straight lines. Yeah, no, I am. I got tricked. Interesting. So, this is actually a digital zoom, and it looks like a digital zoom. That was my first instinct, but I was like, I don't know. Like, if you have a look here, right? Have a look at this cowgirl on the side here. As you can see, the background moves away extremely quickly. But if you look at the details on the side, either there's no lens distortion, so they're shot in a really long lens, so when they're zooming out, but even then that would introduce more lens distortion, which we're not really getting. Oh, we are getting a little bit, actually. Maybe. I still think this is a digital zoom. If it's not, I'm both right and wrong, because I was going to say how cool it is that it wasn't a digital zoom, but it looks like it is, because everything also just looks a bit fuzzier compared to when we zoom out. looks a little bit crisper. So I believe this is a digital zoom, which is either done in the edit or in the comp. They would assign this and just be a post move. And, it'd be simple as that. Obviously, this is a CG shot anyway because the thing's in it. I wasn't even paying attention to that. And there's a screen replacement. So, this would be a VFX shot anyway. So the post move would just be at the end of the script. I doubt they would do that in the edit. But yeah, so CG integration with the thing. Actually, I'm so silly. This is obviously a CG shot, not the environment, but the thing's in there too. Man, that is how good this movie looks. I forgot he was a CG character. That's insane. Yeah, CG integration on the thing is flawless. He looks fantastic. I don't know if I'm allowed to swear on these things because YouTube. The animation's a bit wonky now that I look at it. Little too animated when you compare it to the real people. Moves a bit fast for how big he is. If you look at Johnny specifically, so if you look here and then compare it to Ben, yeah, little animated, but the compositing, flawless. Did not stick out at all. So much so that I completely forgot. Speaking of, I skipped past this. This is another CG shot. What the hell? This movie is so good, dude. It's insane. Now, this could be a mix. I don't know if his full body is CG in this. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just his head. Because they did have a big practical suit. And there's just a lot of detail on here. Where it's like, this is either some of the best character shots, like CG shots, we've ever gotten, or it's just practical. Yeah, I'm leaning towards it's a mix. I feel like his head. Let's get to drawing. I'm just gonna use my mouse. It's so much easier. So I feel like this. All right. Let me just draw. This right here. This is my horrible handwriting. Practical. Yep, practical. All of this. And then this right here is CG. Now the reason I say that, there's a few reasons. So if you have a look here, there's movement. There's very subtle movement. So that's obviously, not an animatronic or something like that. That's a CG head. They would not have made an animatronic for the thing. They definitely would not have. And you can also tell here, it's not reflecting the light in the same sort of way. There's a tiny bit of a mismatch potentially in the shadows. These shadows look very dark. That being said, they are rocks. They would inherently be darker than fabric. But yeah, no, there's like, I don't know, it's extremely good. To be honest, actually, this could even be the line, just below his neckline. Because this also looks slightly different. That could be intentional. Maybe that is just how the costume looks, but it looks ever so slightly different. So I would be safe in saying that this right here, let me draw on it again just for clarity, this line, so we know what we're talking about, is the seam line. And yeah, see, now that I've chucked a line in there, you can kind of tell. Yeah, I reckon that's definitely where it is. If this is all CG, just straight up, like, standing ovation to the whole team, because that's insane. Like, this body stuff, that is insane. It's extremely good. It's not like, this is the hardest thing to do in the world, but there's just so much detail in this, where it kind of just, like, it makes sense just to do the body practically and put a CG head on, because of the amount of effort it would take to get looking this good in post. And, the head. I have seen behind the scenes photos. They did have, this is what I was talking about with the kind of suit. They had a practical suit that someone walked around in, did all the body acting. I don't know if it was the actor for the actual thing, or if it was just a stunt dude or character actor. I don't know exactly the specifics of that, obviously, but I do know they had a practical suit, which included hands, face, all that sort of stuff. So realistically, they would have shot a decent chunk. I don't know how much. You know, coming at it from basically what I've seen in the movie, all obviously you're not shooting fighting scenes with that because you need mobility and stuff, and there just wasn't that much. But stuff like this where he's just standing there, yeah, we would have shot 50 to 75% of it with that practical stand-in, and then just replace the head digitally, which is way more work than it seems. But it gets a better result, obviously. First benefit of that is you get the reference. If you have a sort of, model head, which is what they had, that looks exactly how you want it to look in post, which from what I've seen, it does. It's like a perfect sort of one-to-one. They're like, yep, this is exactly the design, which is also why it leads me to believe this whole sort of stage thing was shot practically, because the MCU is infamous for changing their mind last minute and not deciding on designs straight away, and the Endgame suits, for example, like the white and red and black time travel suits, they were switching constantly. Same with Spider-Man's suit in No Way Home and all that stuff. They were all just replaced digitally. And Civil War, Spider-Man's suit, and Black Panther's suit in Civil War as well. He was, they had a rough idea, but it wasn't a final design. And they do that all the time. But the reason I don't think that's the case here is because there was set leaks of this suit with this head being shot. And obviously Joseph Quinn showed up to some like panel thing. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was wearing his suit. And it's kind of just like, oh, well, okay, that's the suit. They have the suits. And for something as like simple as this, it'd be pretty easy to finalize and just make, way easier. Like, I don't know. Again, this just goes back to what I was saying about all of the detail in the cloth. It's just so much easier just to do that practically. Like, why would you do it digitally when it's just going to actually like extend your time and budget when you could just make the suit? So that's what they did here. And yeah, like I said, gives you a great one-to-one reference. So, the lighting team can match the reference of his head perfectly. Same with the texturing and modeling team. And then the compositor can just straight up match it to the plate, And like I said, it does require more than what you would imagine. You would need to clean up, like roto paint artists, to get the neckline, but also paint out the head. It'd be a pretty simple job. Yeah, it'd be fairly simple on a shot like this because it's a static background. Those are the best. Those are insane. So you just need to make sort of one clean plate and then roto back in what you want. So they'll probably use the clone tool on this going all the way up. Most of it's obscured anyway, so you wouldn't need it to be like, 100% perfect. It'd just be like, okay, as long as there's a line going up here and this is all blue. And then, same with here. There is some variation in the light, so you would, maybe need a couple green nodes just to get some light in there. Looking good. But yeah, no, it'd be a pretty simple job, but it's still more than the average person would think. So the rotopaint person would come in, remove his head. To be honest, they'd probably just remove him entirely. That would probably be the easiest. And then lay over that clean plate on top of the original plate and just roto this line here. So that way, they're getting rid of the head and they're keeping as much of the original as possible. But then also just say they wanted to go, oh no, actually we do just want to remove his whole body. We want to change all their suits last minute with CG. We want to do that. Then they could just switch to the full clean plate and just add the CG person over the top of it. It'd be an absolute waste of effort, but, it would make the most sense. But anyway, I've spent so long talking about this stuff. I know that's what we're here for, but we've made it to like 4 shots into the trailer. Like I said, this 2 minutes is going to last us a while. Pretty standard explosion stuff here. Full CG environment. Either full CG or everything but what he's standing on directly is CG. I'm very confident in that. The blurring of this, the lighting, obviously the interactive lighting of the explosion is a big giveaway. But yeah, just everything about it, the sky, the way it's just very CG. Simplest way to put it, which is fine. Like background CG stuff, people hate on it a fair bit. They're like, oh, why couldn't they just build a set? Why on earth would they build this set? Like, why would they build this? Like, yeah, you could find one practically, I'm sure, but it wouldn't match exactly what they need. And it's just like, you build it digitally, you can do whatever you want on it. You know, it's just a playground at that point. So I don't see the hate for stuff like that. But yeah, 100% CG. And the other reason I know it's CG is because all the lens effects are turned up to 100. And that is exactly how I would have comped it. That is 100% how I would have comped this shot. I would have turned everything up to the max and be like, yeah, let's get it. The explosion looks good. I don't know. CG explosions always get me. I know they are a big thing for people in general, but I don't know. I I would love them and I hate them. This fire is comped in well. It doesn't really match the explosion, which it shouldn't necessarily. Oh, it's part of the explosion. Okay. Yeah, see, that's not good because it kind of came across as a different element. Either, like, whatever you do, this is kind of the rule I learned. Whatever you do, it can't really be right or wrong as long as it's consistent. Um, Obviously this was intentional because look how much the lighting goes up. And that could have been the compa with, he could have got the light groups, which, I mean, I guess I'll go into now. This shot is actually, there's quite a lot to break down. I wasn't expecting it from this shot. But yeah, I think this should have been brighter, personally. Slightly. Not by much. It shouldn't be at this level because it is being obscured by all the smoke and stuff like that. That's obvious. But it should have been a little brighter so this transition isn't as crazy. Although maybe that's what they want. Because when you look at it in motion, it kind of, yeah, okay. That seems to be the intention behind it. From a very technical standpoint, I would have done it differently, but I understand the intention behind it. Um, yeah, because then it looks like, bam, there's this big explosion as he lands, and he's got this nice silhouette. Also, you just know this was a IMAX shot. He's getting cut off like most of this. I'm so excited to see it in IMAX. I'm so excited to see all the extra bloody stuff, especially with Galactus. The light wrap or edge detail, whatever you want to call it, it's a bit iffy. I don't know about it. I don't know. It looks. I feel like there wouldn't be as much. Or, like, the amount is fine. But you can see, like, a pretty clear. Like, yeah, that's where the edges would be, like this, sure. But all this overlapping, like, sort of expo glow, you can see a pretty clear roto cutoff. Or if it's not a roto cutoff, I don't know. Maybe they just did a, not vertical, horizontal expo glow. I don't know why you would. But you can see a pretty clear line. So I'm not fully sold on the light wrap here. I would have just dialed it down, maybe like half, maybe even less. And it's starting to really mess with like the blue in his suit. With a hero shot like this, from experience, they 100% want to make sure everything is perfectly readable. And this is, don't get me wrong, but the edge flares are kind of irking me a little bit. Because if you're going to push this amount of expo glow, it's probably accurate. Like to an actual camera, you would probably get this much sort of color mixing or contamination, I guess you could call it. The bit where it loses me is that, firstly, below here, nothing. Like nothing at all. And above here, there's just so much. Although, but there's not down there. I wonder if that's like a... I wonder if that's like a bad roto shape that accidentally got left in or something. Or like a funky mat, maybe? I wonder if that's a mistake or if it's intentional. I don't know. But, yeah. So around the hair, if you look here, that's also just a lot. But when you look here, that's what you'd expect. It's like, maybe even that would be fine. But that's more what you'd expect on these edges here. But there's just so much. It kind of just gives it that really digital look. And that's a lot of where CG explosions go wrong for me. And I think where they go wrong for a lot of people, they just don't understand, is it's in those details, like the light wrap and the expert glow. But see, looking at it here, there's nothing. Okay, interesting. It's not overlapping here. When it would be. It would be bleeding out, like not by much, but I reckon, about here, maybe. Let me draw a little line of where I think it would be. So the flame ends here. The glow from this would stop about here. I reckon something like... Can you just Control Z? Oh, you can. Hell yeah. Something like this. And something like this. See, then you get to the thing of here, where it's like, well, okay, so it'd come up from here, bam, and then you just ended up with the whole leg sort of being done around here. So this leg looks kind of great, I think, anyway. I don't know what this sort of cutoff is. I can't help but feel like that's sort of like a garbage mat or something for the explosion that accidentally got put over the Expo Glow. That's kind of what my instincts are telling me. I don't know. But you look at it there compared to here. I feel like this section here, where I'm scribbling out now, should be what it looks like all around. It either needs to all look like this or all look like this. Obviously, it would be different. Like this light here, I can't even see it. So bloody bright. That'd probably go up to around there, I reckon. So it's like realistically, you're wanting, so we go up around here, come up. That's kind of what I'd imagine. Yeah, something like this. So realistically, I reckon, yeah, you'd be kind of expecting. I don't know if I think I've messed that up. But you'd be kind of expecting something like this in terms of like the spill and the glow. And, even down here, like most of this would be covered in glow too. It wouldn't just be a hard cut off. That's if you wanted to do all of it like that. Otherwise, you just do it all like this and all of that is gone. So I think they've gone for like a midway. I just don't think it's worked, personally. The integration of the CG is fantastic. Like him on the ground, like I said, that's either... I think he would be standing on something reflective. There's no way they've rebuilt that in CG. And it's way too hard to do in comp with all the micro movements. They wouldn't have done that. So I reckon he's either standing on a mini sort of platform. This looks funky. And this reflection is super comped in. You can really tell. That looks like a billion other... Like, I did a bunch of fire stuff on Nautilus, the TV show, and yeah, this looks exactly like the reflections I did in that. That reflections are super comped in, which, yeah. But they look different here, actually. So, yeah. So maybe... You can even see it's just like directly flipped. There's no sort of perspective warping or different angles of it. I wonder if he's just on a small platform and then maybe the cutoff line is like this. Maybe that would be a good cutoff line. And then yeah, we've got the CG back here. Probably a DMP right at the back. Even though it's fully covered, it'd probably just be a PNG of the sky, so they probably wouldn't worry about it. Either that, or they would have like a 360 DMP for just the whole scene, just to chuck in the background. That'd probably be the easiest way to go forward, and that's usually how they sort of manage things. Yeah, I reckon. I reckon right here. If we have a look here, I reckon that is the cutoff line. There's a lot less obvious cutoff line. Where's my thing? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, I lost it again. Lovely. Yeah, maybe that was a horrible line. Oh my god, can you tell I'm not an artist? Bloody hell. Alright, I think that would be the cutoff line. Or potentially even this. Maybe. No, that would be weird to do. That would be weird to do. But I'd be very interested to see. I'd be very interested to see what they actually did, because I think he's on something practical. The reflection is just too good. They'd have to be on something practical. Next thing I want to talk about with this shot is the light groups. So I think I went over them. Did I go over them? Maybe I didn't. I don't even remember what I've uploaded. I don't think I've talked about anything with light groups on my channel. Sweet, okay. This is a big topic. Oh my god. Congratulations, you're about to enter another ramble about light groups and how good they are. So light groups, yeah, they're basically different sources of light in your scene, separated into different layers on the XR sequence. That's usually what they work in. And you can shuffle them out and, you know, rebuild your beauty pass, which is just whatever the lighting team have created, but then you can adjust all the lights differently. So, for example, they would have the light of this explosion as its own thing, so then they can go in, the compa can go in and adjust the lighting and say, oh, make it less intense, make it more intense, isolate it for an expo glow, so only that's being affected. Stuff like that, you know, things to really dial in the flexibility of comp in general. And you also have, you know, obviously the sunlight would be a big one. I'd imagine there'd be a lot of light groups. There'd either be a lot of light groups or like 3 on a Marvel production, because everything is so evenly lit all the time. It's never like super high contrast. You either have a crap ton of lights or you would have like 3. You'd have like the sunlight, the fill light, and maybe an edge light or an accent light from this explosion. I don't know if that's accurate. I haven't worked on any Marvel productions yet, but I believe that's probably what it would be. And then obviously you got things like heat distortion and stuff, which is and a lot of lens distortion out of nowhere. I just noticed that. What the hell? Okay. I mean, that's cool. Again, just more evidence they shot on anamorphic, because they'd have to match the lens distortion to the plate. They wouldn't just put that in stylistically. It wouldn't work on flat footage of him. So that's cool. Yeah, just more evidence they shot on anamorphic. Now, I wanted to go over... You can see the exact point. It goes from... Okay, so obviously that's CG. Bam. Right here. You can see the exact point that it goes to live action, you know, the real plate, the original plate. And obviously we track in, got some sparks flying in, it looks so cool. I just thought that was funny, because you can see the exact frame. You know, there wouldn't exactly be an ease in, but there'd be something. There'd be a slight bit of blur. You know, to match this, like, that's blurred to hell. And then it's just nothing. I just found that very funny. But yeah, let's skim through. Her powers are so cool. I wasn't sold on them to begin with. Something about it just being sort of chromatic aberration and some like distortion. I was like, I don't know, maybe we can do a bit better, but it looks cool. I got to admit, I was proven wrong. It looks cool, and she does it so much. You're just sold on it by the end. You know, it's not something you really question. You're like, yeah, that's just how it is. I did like, even at the start, I did like the flicker that the chromatic aberration does. It makes it feel like unstable. And I would be very interested, because this is 100% a comp effect this is not a CG effect at all. 100% a comp effect. If we go to the wide shot, as you can see, this would be just like a giant roto shape. Potentially not even roto shape. Maybe even just some noise that's like masked. Oh, well, that'd still be a roto shape technically, so technically I was right. But maybe just some noise that's like corner pinned or something and animated to kind of give this cone look. And then, you do some chromatic aberration on that. Because of how much it's moving, like it kind of sells itself on the 3D look, which is why I know for a fact this is a comp effect. I really like this time echo. That's actually really cool. Maybe that's how they did it. They just had like a noise that was this aberrated version because it's always on the same side. Yeah, I think that's probably how they did it. So they probably had a noise that was stretched out, shuffled the red channel left, I don't know, blue channel right, however you want to do it, green channel right, I don't know, and then used a corner pin or something else like that to distort it to the shape they needed. Had some like maybe a noise expression on the transform of the aberrated noise, and maybe a time offset or something. And then they had this time echo here, which is really cool. I really like that. That's a really nice subtle detail. Like you can see how far in advance it goes. Because look, right, there's one of her fingers right here, right? If you go, well, okay, well that made me look like an idiot. There's a post move. Well, never mind. But you can see it better here. It shows it off way better here. See, they go through. So that'd be, there we go. They just keep going. So that'd just be a time echo, or even an offset. Now that I think about it, maybe I was wrong in the time echo. It could just be an offset because the time echo would get the turning, so her hand would already be turned by the time it got to here. Because it's completely different. So okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's just a transform. Maybe all of this is just like a transform sort of based effect. Well, let's look here. Yeah, it's not really there. You can see it a little bit, but that's more the aberration of the plate that they're transforming to match the little rainbow effect. Okay, I feel like that would be the case. I feel like that's just a transform of how many layers we got. If we can see it clearly. This is why I was expecting 4K or something, not 8K. That's ridiculous. They probably shot in 8K. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or so. Plussed over the top. Would it be plussed? Screen, maybe. It's less additive. Probably, screen or plussed over the top, or even just lower in opacity as they go. Whatever works. And offset by a set amount. That'd probably get you the job done. I think you just wrote it back in this hand, which one of the roto artists would do anyway. That's a little known secret. Not secret. I'm making it seem like I'm doing this big expose. That's a little known tidbit about these big productions for like Marvel and stuff like that, is that the green screens, they're just for show. They don't do nothing. There's no one's pulling a key out of that unless it's like, I don't know, bash comps maybe. Sometimes I'm sure they could get away with a proper key, but a lot of the time they're just for show. You just chuck a D-spill over that, and then some poor roto artist has to roto the full character in every shot. That's just how it is. I don't know. I wish it wasn't, but that's just how it is. So I think get the roto of the hand, have the offset, because the offset also doesn't change if you have a look here. It flickers, yeah, but like the actual it doesn't change the position, because at the moment the echo would be going up. I don't know if an echo would be better or worse. Obviously, this is the version they ended up with, so I was trying to replicate it. The transform would be better, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to get hung up on the details because we're like 50 minutes into this thing, and we're 17 seconds into the trailer. Oh my god. I'm going to skim a lot of this. This is just your pretty standard Human Torch stuff. Full CG shot, definitely. 100% full CG shot. No doubt about that. Oh, you can even tell. There's like a weird motion blur bug. Oh man. Probably has something to do with the camera shake, cancelling it out. Oh boy. At least you get a good sort of look at the environment. It's not blurred. That's cool. It's so blurred. I just realized how low. Like this is duffed out for some reason. It shouldn't be like that. Why'd it go all the way back? What the hell? Yeah, so this full CG shot. You get a pretty close look at the Human Torch, which is cool. It'd probably be a very big there's probably no animation on him. Oh no, there's a head move. That's cool, yeah. So he turns, head moves up. That's probably all there was. There wouldn't be much. This fire sim is really cool, and I think it's comped really well. I think the fire's acting normally. Bugs out a little bit here, but you would never notice that, so there's no point worrying about it. I don't know how I feel about the again, more anamorphic evidence. See this blue streak here? Right here and here. Those are from some anamorphic flares. I don't know how I feel about them. They look a bit tacky. I don't know. I got some nice lens reflections here. That's all good. I love lens effects, obviously. Again, full CG shot. It's obvious. It's obvious this is a CG shot. I don't need to explain why. Everyone knows that. It goes past here. Got some nice interactive lighting on this. Probably a bit bright, realistically, considering it's daytime. But hey, it sells it. It gives it depth. Got some nice elements back here. It looks good. These here... So this is obviously a fire sim. So you can tell because it's kind of iterative, I guess is the word. Where it looks like it's almost particle based. And by particle based I mean that's a particle. And see how it has its own animation. It sucks into itself. That's what I mean by that. Obviously, all simulations that are energy or water and stuff that kind of particle based. To my knowledge, again, I don't want to come across as like I'm trying to be an expert on something I don't know, because I don't know that. But this looks like very sectioned off, which is common in simulations. You can see they're very uniform. They're all it's like sections are getting sucked into each other. And that's how you can kind of spot a simulation. Obviously, this is a simulation. I'm not trying to say oh no, they filmed this practically and put it over the top. The reason I'm pointing that out is just, I don't know, be a bit educational. God forbid a fellow be educational on the internet, am I right, fellas? But the reason I'm pointing that out is because this fire here, it looks like it could be just elements. Yeah, it looks like it could just be action VFX, like torch flame elements. I'm not going to do the research now, but I bet, unless they have their own stock library, of course that's possible, but I reckon you could probably find these on Action VFX. I reckon. That's probably just realistically, it's probably all individual elements, but you could even get away with 4 different elements and then just offset them because it's such a short time frame that they're actually there. Yeah. That looks like real fire. Comped in very well. I like that. And doing that would also kind of give your eye something to match this fire too. And you can see the differences. Look at the dynamic range here. This looks graded. I can kind of tell this was graded using a grade node in Nuke. I can kind of tell. There's something with how it handles the hotspots. But when you look here, this was definitely graded with a grade node as well, or a color correct node or whatever. But you can kind of tell here, whereas it's handled very differently here. I don't really know how to explain that properly, but it's just look at the dynamic range, This is up against a sky, so it wouldn't be as crazy defined, but yeah, you can kind of just tell when it gets to this sort of level. If that was placed over the top, this would kind of have a bit more dynamic range. So, yeah, I'm pretty confident in that guess. That these are just practical fire elements that they've just chucked over the top. And then Obviously, that's a simulation. No need to justify that. This is something I wanted to talk about. Now, where the hour is nearly up, so this might even end up being a longer episode. I don't know how long these are going to take. Who knows? But this isn't what the final shot looks like in the movie, and thank God. I just know from my personal experience. I'm not going to name the project, but it was hell to work on. I just know the compa on this shot would have been given 20 different directions, and they would have had to have gotten a version out to hit trailer deadlines. This was probably in one of the earlier trailers. I don't remember. Even if it wasn't, it's definitely changed. They probably hadn't finalized the look for the Human Torch yet. We had it on him flying past, but that's super motion blurred. That's super high movement. You don't see any detail. On a shot like this, it would take time to really fine-tune that look. You would need eye roto. You would need character roto, obviously. They would need to, approve all of the different grades, the inverts, because the edge detects. I can see some edge detecting going on here. They would really fine-tune those details because it's such an integral part of the character is his look. I'm glad it doesn't look like this. It looks like this for some of the movie. He can control how much he's on fire, and I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed that, honestly. I am glad this shot wasn't like that, because the close-up and seeing it kind of, go in between here, it doesn't really look great. I don't know, something about it. And then the fire simulation. I don't remember if the fire sim looked better in the movie. I'm pretty sure it did. But something about this, it's just, I don't know if it's the, where'd it go? What? Okay, I don't know if it's the comp, because this would be a hard thing to comp. This is probably, actually, no, you know what? I reckon this is probably an earlier version of the CG fire that was left in there to hit trailer deadlines, and it's, since been changed. Is that? I need to see that. Okay, no. Okay, I saw this here and thought that was like a shoulder mat or something. See, it kind of matches up here. So I thought that it had accidentally been offset. That would have been crazy. But no, it looks good here. I just don't like the transition between the two and the fire. I reckon that was an earlier version of the fire that was just pumped out to kind of hit trailer deadlines and stuff. I've been there. It sucks. I feel bad for the artist. That would have been stressful working on a shot like this. It's the smaller shots that really catch you by surprise. I had a shot on Equalizer 3 that literally lasted, I think it was 11 frames or something. And the amount of versions, I think I got 13 versions of that shot. Insane. It's not that deep. It's 13 frames. It's crazy. So yeah, it's I get it. I've been there before. It's just, I don't know, it's just not hitting. It is just not hitting. CG integration of the thing here. I don't know. Probably the practical suit. Maybe you could either go full CG or practical suit. To be honest, on a shot like this, I would go practical suit. Whether or not they did, I don't know. There's a little bit of a stagger here that makes me think maybe it was the practical suit. It looks like the person. It looks like the person moving has got a lot of weight on their shoulders, quite literally on their shoulders. And yeah, I mean that could easily just be an element coming up. In fact, it most likely is. But I reckon, that was probably practical suit. I just don't see why you would waste time with the CG on this. I don't know. Maybe they did just say, screw it. Let's make them work for days on a half-second shot of a really far away thing. Because this looks practical. They show this off multiple times. It looks practical. Either that or it's an extremely good CG set and fantastic integration. But it's practical. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just gonna say that's practical suit. This obviously is not. It's like, say the thing. I don't do that. That's just in the cartoons. Yeah, that's obviously. I'm not really going to go into this much. It's very flat lighting. It's not too interesting to look at. Actually, what the hell? Actually, I didn't even notice he transitioned into his final look just there. So we'll get back to that in a sec. I want to look at this. He interacts with the person. That's cool. So this, to me, would be practical suit. His hand is not moving at all, and that is that a cup? I think it's a cup. Is glued in there. Let's see if when he puts his hands up. No, he didn't show it. Okay, but he had his hands up before. Where'd that go? Oh, there's just nothing in there. Something just spawned in there. Lovely. I'd feel like this is either full practical suit or practical suit head replacement, which kind of adds evidence to what I was saying before, because that interaction would be very hard, and it's just those small things that make him feel like he's really part of the world. And again, they had the suit for reference. It would just be easier to do that. Maybe a CG head replacement. Maybe they wanted some micro movement or something. Maybe it was a bit too obvious that it was a practical head, and it was just like a sculpt. True, he wouldn't be able to move his neck in the suit, and he moves his neck here. Or does he? He doesn't move his neck. Although I do notice some sliding. That could just be the cloth there. Oh no, he does. He does move his neck. He moves his head around. Yeah. Okay. So that's probably CG head replacement, which is cool, but practical suit, I'd imagine. Yeah, it's clobbering time. But this, I did not notice that he transitioned fully. Interesting. That's a very unfortunate face to pause on. I'm sorry. Uh, this does look a bit different to the movie, though. So this must have been an earlier version of the look, too. Which, again, adds validity to what I was saying about how maybe this was just an earlier version of all the CG fire, and they wanted to nail down the look, so they made his face visible, sorry. The comp here. I don't know if that's... Is that because it's fading in? Yeah, that's just because it's fading in. You can't nitpick single frames like that. I know I've done it a couple times, but you can't nitpick single frames like that. Because see, that looks bad on the fire on his head. But that's because it's in an animation going onto his head, so you can't do that. Yeah, this doesn't look like the final version in the movie. It very well could be, but it's definitely at least cross-fading. That's a very quick animation. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think that's just an early shot. I don't want to spend too much time on it. This is very cool, very classic Human Torch doing the 4. This is one of those things where it's like the rule of cool, overpowers the real life physics of it all, because that fire stays there for a long time. Look, it's just chilling there. So obviously that's not realistic, but rule of cool, that's how it works. We got some CG Ben, obviously. All these reflections would be added in comp. They would not be there. I don't know. Maybe they could be. All it would take is like a volume. Volumes are great for reflections. I hate it when they use volumes for like character integration. Love it when they use it for lighting and reflections. This could very well be a volume. Who knows? But there's no movement, so I'd imagine, yeah. Yeah, no, that's probably just in comp. They probably got a big DMP of this. Uh, Comp artist has probably done these spotlights going over, or CG. CG's probably done them, realistically. Because we do see the cars with the spotlights, the police cars, we do see them in pretty high detail, so these are probably CG doing that. And then, yeah, probably just a DMP of the city used for the reflections in comp. Pretty simple. You're comping this in anyway, you might as well do that. Yeah, that's what I'd imagine. And this is sick. I love this. Full CG, obviously. Got some volumetric clouds looking lovely. That is such a cool shot, dude. Oh my god, I love this so much. We're over an hour now. By far. I don't care. This can be a 2 hour episode. I love the visuals of this movie so much. I I love this shot. This is fantastic. Not okay. I hate that joke. I gotta say, not anything VFX related. I fucking hate that joke. It's fantastic. Say that again. Don't like it. Stop it, please. Do not like that. But anyway, love this shot. The silhouette, the all how all the lighting is directed here. Oh, it's so good. I love it. And you get some nice lighting. And I said lighting. It's lightning. Yeah, that looks sick. I love that. Full CG. Set with a real Fantastica, which is sick. You can tell when the Fantastica is CG because it wasn't the best. I love this movie to bits, especially the visuals. The Fantastica CG isn't the best. It's good. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad. It's good, but you can tell when it's the practical one. And that's safe to say that's the practical one. Or they just fucking cooked on this shot. Oh, I swore. Sorry. Don't know if I'm allowed to swear. If my channel gets deleted, you know why. Okay. Let's keep going. Easy Earth shot. Simple CG. Yeah, that's pretty standard stuff. Let's see. That's cool. Now this is such a big shot. This probably would have been worked on like right up until the deadline. Or either that or it would have been done like first thing. Because this sets the whole vibe, like, firstly, it's such a complicated thing to build. Like, the CG team popped off with this. But the comp, the amount of, like, grades and light group, isolation and stuff like that you would have to do is insane. So, props to all the team for this one. I don't know if you'd bother with CG smoke for elements like this. Realistically, like you could just comp them in. I doubt the CG smoke and stuff like that. Obviously CG backgrounds, which to be honest, looking at this, firstly the integration of the people is great. With this type of shot it is, they could just be full CG just to save time. I don't know if they are. You can usually tell by the animation, but I'm not going to go too deep into it. This here, the keying is great. Fantastic. Well, firstly, I didn't mean to say fantastic again, but it's also not going to be keying. It's going to be roto. But what I'm trying to say is the integration is fantastic. I got to stop saying that. This episode is going to be plagued with that. Okay, cool. But it's good. The perspective is right. The depth of field is perfect. The horizon line, which leads into perspective. I don't know why I'm kind of doubling up words there. The lighting of everything. I probably would have appreciated a bit more of this edge light on the characters because it's so pronounced here. Obviously, you can't in comp go in and add the edge lighting. I mean, you can, but it would look bad. It would not look good. So I would kind of probably just dull down this light here. Sure, it creates visual interest, but I guess that makes sense. But I don't know. I probably would have dulled down these two lights here. That's pretty much it. Other than that, this is perfect. This is exactly what you need from a shot like this. It's no notes. It's great. Keep going through. Some Galactus stuff. Silver Surfer looks good. I don't know, dude. The texturing, the comping, everything. It's not flawless. It isn't flawless. There's a few shots where I'm like, ooh. And obviously a few quick shots. It doesn't need to be perfect. But, this sequence in particular it kind of blew me away. The first shot where you see her face, I was like, what? That looks real. That's insane. Like, that, it was so good. So, props to this whole situation. Like, it was really good. The facial animation is typical. Got a few little Uncanny Valley CG stuff, but it's a full CG character, and it looks fantastic. So, there's nothing to complain about there. That's just to be expected. This, I wonder if this would be a DMP or if it's a CG sort of set. I kind of have a feeling this would be a DMP more than anything. The background anyway, because there's not a huge amount of movement, and any movement there was, you could add on top of it. I don't know. I feel like if you built the whole set, it would just be CG. It really just depends on how much they built versus how much they kind of did separately. Like, if they built all of this, then perhaps this is a DMP because you don't see it that much. But if they just built the whole interior of the spaceship, or sections of it anyway, and then like kind of plug and play as they build each shot, then obviously it'd just be full CG. But it hit me as a matte painting. Something about it, I don't know. Just the vibe it's giving off hit me as a matte painting, particularly this area. So my prediction would be that this area down is a DMP, and then this area up is CG. Excuse me. And then obviously all this is just CG. There was a lot of talk going around about Galactus being like shot practically. That is a lie. I don't know how else to say it. People are saying, "Oh, there's some great miniature work in this." Well, there's none. I'm sorry, there's none. They might have shot some. There's no way a single pixel of that is in the movie. It was. I guarantee they would have shot some, but it would have been entirely for reference. There's no way any of the shots in this are miniature shots. It is all CG. You can tell. It looks great, but you can tell. So anyone saying that, oh man, the Galactus miniature work is fantastic, it just does not exist in this movie. Give credit to VFX artists. I'm sick of this whole CG's bad mentality. It's good. Okay, anyway, let's keep going. Now this is a practical set. I know I just... Way to be a hypocrite. Okay, I know I just went over stop saying things are practical. This is practical. It's so good. I love this interior of the spaceship. It's so cool. And, I mean, that might be CG. That's a shot I wanted to talk about, actually, so we'll go back to that. This might be CG, whole interior. They probably have, like, obviously, CG double of it for, like, insert shots and maybe shots where they just want to get the thing and can't quite get the right angle on set or something. That always happens. But the set itself, like this, that's a real interior for sure. And then same with this here. And you can tell it's real because of the defocus here. This is extremely good defocus, which is replicatable in comp, obviously. But, you know, she's leaning on this, he's over here, like, you wouldn't do this in comp. But if you have a look at here, the defocus is so different. Like, insanely different. So that's just a little bit of a giveaway. It's not different enough. Oh, actually, no, it is, really. Like, even back here when it's more defocus, it's very different. So that probably means the Silver Surfer shot was an earlier version as well, not the final comp, because they probably would have hit all this sort of stuff later on in the process. But yeah, so I'd imagine that shot there that we just saw, and then this one, and also full CG. This shot is great. This is so my style. Does it look photorealistic? No. That's fine. I love the style of it. I love the massive bloom on the rocks and on the ship. I love the lighting of it all, the fact it's in space, the scale of it. I love this glow coming from here. Man, this is my style. I love this so much. It's so good. All this, practical, maybe some set extension stuff, nothing worth really talking about. Here, in this section, same with this, like, maybe some set extension. They built a lot of sets on this movie, which is awesome. Especially because of the aesthetic. This, I can't tell if this is a full CG shot, or if it's just an aerial shot DMP of New York, which I imagine is what it is. I don't know. I have a feeling. It's full CG because Marvel have done that in the past. They have full CG replicas of New York, and they use that for all their movies. That's why everything is set there, so that they have that asset ready to go. I'd imagine they did the same thing and just added in all these buildings. Because if you have a look, if I can bloody, I need to find a way to make this cursor more obvious because I cannot see a single thing. You got this one here, you got these here, these arches. It's all subtle details. It does kind of blend into one sort of blob. You don't notice as much of the retro futuristic sort of stuff on wide shots like this. You can actually see this sort of monorail going through here, and I'm guessing that's what's over there too. So that's very cool. And obviously, not that one. It's just completely the wrong screen. There we go. There we go. This pen is going to take some getting used to. So, yeah, you don't notice a lot of this in a big shot like this, but I'd imagine that they would just take their existing CG model of New York, add in these random buildings, just to make it look, to make it match the aesthetic, basically. I doubt it was planned out too much. The monorail would have been planned out for sure. That's a pretty key feature, and it also plays into the ending of the movie. And actually, sorry, not the ending of the movie, the beginning of the movie, when they're going through the sort of featurette of the Fantastic Four, and it's like a television show sort of thing, and it shows flashbacks. You see a lot to do with the monorail, so that would be planned out for sure. Everything else, yeah, probably just scattered in there. Take inspiration from New York, obviously. Looks like they've got little watchtowers around here. So, add to the... there's a lot of detail. And people really do think about this stuff. And so it's awesome to see it in there. It just gets glossed over on a big shot like this. People see this, general audiences, they just think, Galactus Shadow, oh, that's awesome. They don't see all the crazy little details, and they don't think about the really little things that people have to think about along the way. And all that, by the way, all those decisions were a group of probably 3-4 people, maybe less. I don't know. It depends on how much they trusted the guy working on it. Who knows? But where to put them on around, all this sort of stuff. They would have been going through version and version. The director would have been like, no, this building, change it out for building C or building 39 or however they have it managed. And yeah, it would have taken a lot. And a lot of it just, it's kind of a thankless job, VFX, because not only does a lot of the stuff go unnoticed, you actively get hated for a lot of the stuff. People see hear or see CG, and they go, oh, that's bad. CG sucks. Do practical. And it's like, man, I spent months on that. What the hell? it's yeah. It sucks. This shadow, probably done in comp, I'd imagine. Or lighting could have done that. A lighting artist with a holdout, potentially. One of the two. Either option works. Let's go through... No, this looks like a lighting artist gig. There's a bit too much perspective shifting for it to be a comp thing. So yeah, that looks like a lighting artist job. Or a very dedicated compositor. And props to them if that's the case. But that looks like a lighting artist job. Which is cool, because it's very hard to get super defined shadows like that that look good. Usually they look pretty bad. But this looks great. So that is awesome to see. What else have we got? More of the thing. Not going to spend too much time breaking him down. This is a CG Fantastic Car, and you can kind of see what I mean. The metal of it, it looks very CG metal. I don't know if this is probably a full CG shot. Let me see. Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can tell. Easily full CG shot. You know what gave it away? The braking. This right here. I don't know what it is. That reeks of keyframe animation. Not in a bad way. You can just tell. Yeah, for sure. Alright, so, because I was going to say maybe the cars are practical, because they did build a lot of practical cars. So maybe it's just a practical street shot, and then you have the extensions. This would be a big matte painting or a CG set. And then obviously you'd have the monorail and stuff like that. But this, yeah, it's just full CG shot. Another giveaway, not a single person is facing the camera, and they're all really far away. Like, not a single person in the background is facing the camera. So, yeah, more giveaways. So, full CG shot. But yeah, you can tell with the Fantastic car. It looks fine. It looks good. I don't want to say fine with like a negative connotation. It looks good. But it's definitely CG. Well, obviously, it's some of this stuff I say. I'm like, well, duh. Obviously, that's CG. It's flying through the streets of a fake New York. That's like obviously with the jet boosters. But I'm just saying, like, pointing out the difference. You know, we saw what the real one looked like in that other shot. This is a CG one, and it's not quite one for one, unfortunately. So yeah, boost stuff looks very cool. This is a sick shot. Love this. We got some really cool lens artifacts here. So we got some dirt. I love some good lens dirt if it's done right. We got some flares going on, which are these little bits here. These little like chromatic bits here. Not chromatic aberration, but like chromatic lens flares. They look great. The chromatic aberration is there still, which I love it. I love chromatic aberration so much. Anytime I spot chromatic aberration in a movie, I actually get excited, and I don't even know why. Like, it's nothing fancy. It's just something that happens when you shoot footage. But something about it, I'm just like, yes, yes, chromatic aberration, hell yeah. I don't know. I love it. It's definitely my favorite. I mean, you could deeply analyze all of this. You know, again, not to point out the obvious, but full CG environment for sure. I love the details. They got a lot of details in here. Obviously modeled after real New York roofs, just with stuff added on top of them. So probably using that big digital recreation they have. But yeah, man, this just feels alive. It just feels so alive. They've got so much going on. It looks a little bit messy when you look at it like this, but in motion, like, that just looks, dude, that looks so good. I love that. And then, yeah, here we go. Real Fantastic car looks a little iffy. I mean, no, sorry. Yeah, this real practical thing, that looks a little off. That might not be comped very well. It looks good, is what I'm saying. It made the other one just look a tiny bit iffy. This is cool. Doing the thing. They switched immediately to a full CG shot, and you can really see the difference. So the back here, that'd be CG or a matte painting. Yeah, yeah, that wouldn't be shot on location. That would be a matte painting for sure. And then you look at the difference, like the ground especially. This is just very CG with the puddles and all that sort of stuff, and like the lighting. Obviously, it's different lighting conditions. Like, this is like, oh no, it's kind of similar lighting conditions. Really, this is from the same part in the movie. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, because the streets are abandoned and like a bit messy. So yeah, it's definitely the same part of the movie. So they're just straight up different lighting conditions. That's interesting. It probably just made it look better in motion, which is what you want to go for. But yeah, completely different lighting setup. CG bus looks a little wonky. Again, probably just the lighting, because it's so like overcast. There's no hard shadows. That's really what kind of makes CG stick out. I like the explosion here, all the ground cracks. That's great details. Fantastic. Man, I said it again. That's cool. I like seeing those small details of, like, you can see it illuminate inside the car before it blows up. That's cool. I dig that a lot. We'll go to the next shot here. Big explosion, which looks really good. I really like this explosion. This is like one of the better CG explosions, I reckon. Yeah, that looks awesome. That looks great. And again, you can kind of, this is practical. This would not be. I don't know. That's silly. This would not be. But this all is, for sure. I reckon the cutoff. I don't know, actually. Maybe they decorated the storefronts. I don't see why they wouldn't. I doubt it's just like the street and the people only. I reckon they'd probably go to like here at the most. So I reckon where is my thing? Okay, I reckon the cutoff is like here at the most. Oh, but then it intersects with this. So yeah, I reckon. See, but the more I look at it, the more I'm like, well, it's either all practical or it's all CG. So I don't know. This one actually has me a bit stumped because this is obviously just character roto right here. You know, that's not an issue. That's character roto regardless. They'd have all these people. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I reckon maybe the whole front face. Oh no, maybe here's the cutoff point. Well, that's definitely CG. You can tell that's CG. Actually says this. Okay, I reckon this, and it's doing its job because I can't see a contact point. A split point. I think this is probably a rough sort of idea. Maybe that. Maybe that. That's probably practical. And then, obviously, you'd have all these people be practical here. That that lamppost looks a little shady. It could be CG, but yeah. So all of this is probably what the plate looks like. The rest is just nothing. That'll either CG or DMP, whatever works. Again, I most of this is probably just CG rather than DMP. And then obviously, yeah, the explosions for sure, and these pillars, CG. Again, super intentional. Like I was saying, it's part of the world. It's a very big part of the world, so they'd be very particular with that. But anyway, yeah, fantastic explosion. Actually, let's look at that other shot. See if we can figure out where the practical ends. Because here looks to me like... I feel like all this is probably CG. They again, no one's facing the camera. This could be CG from this curb onwards, and maybe like CG, having a few CG people. See, there's like really not that many people, but everywhere else there's lots. Kind of leads me to believe it could be CG crowd right there, and then all of this here. That definitely, I believe, all the way. Sorry, not up to there. Maybe up to here. Down here. That screams kind of CG. But it could be real. But I reckon most likely we have a real sort of road area, and then CG everything else, obviously, with the buildings and stuff like that. So that's kind of what I think. These people here and back here probably CG. I'd imagine you just do the whole block. Because again, if we zoom in, yeah, there's no one. I mean, there's a couple of people facing towards the camera, but you cannot see anything. Same with here. Everyone's just so small. Not like all of this stuff. Just there's too much interaction going on. Here, it's very clean. That's what you got to look out for. There's not much interaction really anywhere. So yeah, definitely. And over here, it's kind of just a mush of information. So it's probably just all CG back there. But I reckon this area here, for sure practical, I reckon. Alright, so, big controversy. The CG baby. Is this the CG baby? I think so. It looks a little fuzzy. Let me get closer. I think so. I can't actually tell in that shot. That's probably practical. I don't know. They had a real baby for some shots and a CG baby for most of them, and you can tell. Excuse me. You can tell. You can tell when it's CG. Let's just move on. CG baby. Why do people keep doing CG babies, man? They're not good. You cannot make them look good. Got some of this great set work there. That's practical. Not this. Jesus, no, not this. This. Definitely all practical. You can just tell. Maybe some set extension stuff for sure, like in the background, but like all this, yeah, for sure practical. Looks great. This looks interesting. I wasn't fully sold on this in the movie, to be honest. Like with their design, I don't know, something about it. It screams like showreel, film school showreel. You know, like someone's new to compositing or CG or whatever, something, and they come out of film school with a couple projects from their classes, post production classes, and this is like a shot. Maybe not the energy stuff, but the structure just being so overbearing, kind of just out of nowhere, and kind of just being slotted in. It doesn't really look like it fits all too well. Like obviously, the world was not built around this structure because it was built last minute in the movie. Uh, something about, I don't know. There's just something about this. I wasn't fully sold on it. Eh, it's integrated well, I guess. I like the big laser beams. They're always fun. People hate on laser beams in the sky. I think they're cool. They can be anyway. Very simple effect. Just probably a noise or like pre-malting a constant, or masking a constant, however you want to do it. Some glow, masking it out here. Some animation, obviously, for the background ones, not for the foreground one that we saw. Um, that's obviously that'd be a effects department situation. That would not be. I mean, I suppose it could be a comp thing. I doubt it though. It's featured so much that would be an effects thing. I'd imagine it could be a comp thing, but I really doubt it. The background ones for sure comp, definitely comp. There's no way you would send that to the CG guys. We got this. Is that the CG baby? That might be the CG baby. CG baby behind Pedro Pascal for sure, for sure. They made a full CG baby, and they rotated out Pedro Pascal's head and put it on top. No, I'm joking, obviously. But yeah, is that a real baby at all? I just want to see. That baby doesn't look like it moved. It was such a quick shot, but it's funny. Again, another full CG, obviously. We're going after Galactus. Cool shot, really show. Actually, to be honest, I think this kind of does a disservice to his scale. It's obvious there's depth. Like, the Fantastic Car is super close. Galactus is pretty far away, like half a block or so. But seeing the car next to him kind of makes him seem smaller than he is. And just seeing him, like, walk in an alleyway. Like, obviously he's big, but it makes him seem, like, a little bit smaller. I don't know. His scale was a little bit iffy in the movie. It, like, 99% of the time, it was sold really well. And then just that 1% was just like, ooh, interesting. I don't know. It's like sometimes he just looked a lot smaller. So I know he can change his size in the comics. I don't know. I believe he can change his size in the comics, but they didn't say that's what he was doing there. At least nothing from what I heard. So who knows? Let's keep going here. Yeah, all good. Nothing to report here. It's just a lot of bed integration. That's some pretty good integration right there. Actually, let's have a look. The shadow on his shirt is a little soft. So I don't think that was with a practical suit, to be honest. I feel like that was probably just full CG Ben Graham. Otherwise, you would have had a pretty... Yeah, that is a shot I want to talk about. Far out. Okay. Jump scare. So just to go over this real quick. When something is touching something, you have pretty crisp shadows. Because shadows soften... based, varying degrees. So, one shadow isn't going to be uniformly either super sharp or super soft, almost, super soft around the whole thing. It's going to vary based on how far away the light source is from the object and the destination of the shadow. So, a soft shadow would be something like this plant over here. Let's get a circle in. If I can see it. That's not it. So this plant here is making a shadow, but see how soft it is? Like that's one leaf or a couple leaves. It's such a soft shadow. But, there's soft shadows all around. There's a better example of the soft shadow for sure. So there's soft shadows all around. But then you look here, and it's like a pretty hard shadow because it's a pretty hard edge. And so the reason you're getting that is because these bigger surface area, so bigger shadow, but also the light direction, uh, it's hitting here, traveling a fair distance, then hitting the wall. So the light is scattering more. It's going around, it's going in between, it's spreading out. Whereas here, as you can see, from here to here, the shadow has no time to, the light, has no time to scatter. So it's a very sharp shadow. By the time you get out here, it's very soft. So it varies. And what I wanted to point out here was that his shadow is kind of unnaturally soft for the sort of contact you would be getting. It would be soft, sure, just not quite that soft. And that's kind of what gives it away. It's good integration. It's just the shadow, which it usually is. The shadow is very hard to do. I can't even do them that well. They're really hard to kind of get right. I've got a couple right in my days, and when I say a couple, I mean a couple, and that's probably being generous. They are very hard to get right, but it sticks out quite a bit when they are wrong. So, yeah, I doubt that would be... damn. I was going to say, hopefully we could see the contact shadow here. You can kinda, not really. Not enough to really show an example, but you can see, if you look right here, how much sharper that is compared to the one that was on on Reed from Ben's hand. It's just a lot sharper because of the close distance, and that's just how contact shadows are. Again, if you compare the shadow to here, and even just the ones on her face, there's one here from her hair. They're just way softer because they're further away. This is a prime example of what I was just saying. So there you go. This shot I wanted to talk about. This is different in the movie too, thankfully. All the Human Torch stuff seems to have been updated since the trailer, or they put out trailer versions to kind of obscure certain details, which I've been part of projects where they've done that before. I've had shots where they've done that before, actually. They've taken my shot and another compa has done a trailer version where they've just saved the script separately and then disabled / enabled / tweaked certain values, done whatever they needed to do for the trailer specific version of the shot, and then that's released, and then obviously my shot is the full one. It varies. Sometimes they do that. Sometimes they just get a trailer shot out first by a really early deadline, and then they work on the final shot later. Since this is a final trailer, I'd say this is just a trailer variant rather than an early version of the shot. Because I don't believe this was in any previous ones because they were hiding his beard for a bit. But this shot, very easy to break down. I'm very safe in assuming this. You have Joseph Quinn here, like this. He's probably got his arms out. This is not my best artistic examples, but that's probably what he looks like there. Everything else, completely digital, obviously, but that's how he would be set up. Probably shot from above, with a green screen floor, green screen background. Whether or not they use the green screen, I don't know. They would have used the green screen for the hair, for sure. There's no way they would make someone road all that hair. Because it's going to be obscured anyway. So I honestly wouldn't feel that bad about this being labelled like an actual keyable shot. Because I feel like if you wasted the roto on this, when all the edges are going to be obscured by fire, kind of pointless. So this is probably one they actually would key. And the pointers for that are the edges are obscured anyway. Most of his body is obscured by the thing CG here. And there's camera shaking and all that sort of stuff. So it's probably just keyed. It's very keyable anyway. So hopefully that's how they did it. And yeah, obviously Ben's CG here. Post move. The post move is super obvious. You can really tell. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't want to sound like blasphemous or anything. I don't like it. When you really focus on Johnny, the shot falls apart very quickly. And from a glance, just watching the shot overall, looks great. Looks fantastic. I gotta stop saying that. It looks good. It looks very good. But when you focus on Johnny and just watch him, it falls apart very quickly. Now again, this is different in the final movie. He's got his full Human Torch look, looks fine, and you can even tell. I just noticed this then. His hand, it changes like position. The contact isn't like solid. You can kind of tell he's just stuck on. Yeah, I don't like this shot. I gotta be honest. And even in the movie, it was kind of like pretty anticlimactic. It was like insane build up for how we get to this shot, and then it just kind of fizzles. I don't know. Might be a hot take. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not. Not huge on this. And again, with the fire looks better here for sure than it did in that first shot, which was excuse me. This one, yes, this one. No, not that one. This one. The fire looks way better in that the previous shot than this one here. I think this was a very early version of the fire. It looks very unfinished. But this, it looks better. Yeah, for sure. Could be comped a little bit better. Fire usually overexposes like crazy. In daytime, not so much, obviously. But it's, I don't know, it's dark enough where the fire would be almost probably pure white. Especially that much fire. That's the other thing you got to keep in mind. It looks very artificial. Again, that doesn't really matter because he has his full Human Torch look where he's red and all that sort of stuff. That changes the vibe entirely. But even then in the final thing, like his eyes are yellow and they just look a little bit off. It looks like they've just wrote out a constant over his eyes. I don't know. The whole thing was just a little strange. And yeah, just don't vibe with the shot as much. It's also like, without context, it's kind of unclear what's actually happening. It kind of just looks like he's carrying the thing, which he kind of... No, he's not really carrying, he's pushing him. If you haven't seen the movie, and you somehow have made it this far without caring about spoilers, here's a supplementary spoiler warning. But he's pushing him down from space to hit Galactus, and so that makes sense in context. But in this, it kind of just looks like he's carrying him and like flying him. It looks like Human Torch is just super strong. I find that really funny. It's silly. It's very silly. But yeah, so that could have been a bit better, I feel. What else we got here? Actually, one thing I did want to talk about, if we go earlier in the shot, there's a lot of camera shake, so a lot of it is being hidden by the motion blur. That's a pretty good one. But as you can see here, this is really showing off what I was talking about earlier with the Thing's suit. And where I'm like, okay, that would just definitely be like practical because it just wouldn't look that good if it was done in CG. And this is a prime example of that. You can just see how much like, you can see how much smoother it is and how much less detail there is. When you compare it to... Okay, I'll have to skim through. But you have a look at it here. Like, it looks good, and again, it's being hidden by a little blur and stuff like that. But, yeah, there's just so much more detail. Like, you can, like, almost see the threads in the fabric. You know what I mean? Obviously, you can here, but that's the design. But I'm talking, like, here, you can like, almost see the individual threads. So, like, that, definitely practical. And this one, you can just tell. Like, it just feels different, you know? It doesn't... Like, they've got the nice, like, wiggle on the cloth. And that's good and all. You can still tell, though. I feel, anyway. Obviously, it would be CG. Like, I'm not trying to say, oh, this one's CG, this one's practical, blah, blah, blah. This is why you should believe me. I'm just saying, like, yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. You can definitely, yeah, feel a difference. This is awesome. And again, that's like 100% a comp effect. Like, you can just tell. Obviously, like, it just wouldn't even need to do it in CG. You wouldn't want to do it in CG, I don't think. I don't know why you would. It'd be much easier to do in comp. Got Human Torch here. This is a really cool shot. We got a lot going on. Whoever did this shot, that's a cool, like... That's a really cool transition of the Human Torch. I really like that. I really like how the fire just kind of comes from just everywhere. That's awesome. Whoever did this shot, like, props to you. This is a really nice shot. I really like this one. But yeah, if we have a look, so what have we got? Let's get our labeling out. So, where is he? There. So we got CG the Thing, or Ben Grimm, whatever you want to call him. So obviously this CG. So this is at least, like at the very least, and so is he. So we got this. This is definitely just a full-blown roto. And then obviously you have the torch look, which is just a lot of elements, I'd imagine. It could be CG. It could be CG. For this shot. Actually, what am I saying? It most likely is CG, for sure. And then, you've got, like, probably practical ground. So, like, from here, with some CG sort of rubble over the top. Maybe even just CG ground. I doubt it. It doesn't look like CG ground. The integration here is a bit too good to be CG ground. And then obviously, CG background. And then you have the comp, Invisible Woman force field treatment. All this CG background, comp treatment here, rotor, full character rotor here. And then obviously you've got the Human Torch effect, which would be an insane treatment on its own. It looks very good. But see, I'm seeing some of those elements here. I wonder if that was a specific design choice for his transformation. Like before the, where is it? This one. When I was saying these look like practical elements, I'm seeing some of those in the transformation here. So if we go back, you can see them kind of pop out here. So I wonder if that was actually like a specific sort of part of the design, which is really cool if that's the case. So then he's fully CG at this point. For sure. He's probably better. Yeah, that's the difference right there. You could tell. They're just in a completely different pose. So he's still rotoed. He's doing his run. So he's only there for 4 frames. 4 frames with Joseph Quinn. You could probably just do full CG at that point. He transforms, full CG, flies off, looks great. I like the trail. Ooh, do I like the trail? This is really oversized fire, but it's only there for a couple frames, so it doesn't matter. Looks good. I'd be very happy with that. Got some dust kick up too. That's nice. And then obviously all the distortion from the comp treatment for her effect. It looks great, man. I'm overanalyzing the shit out of this. I don't know if it'll be like this every episode, but I just love these. Like, this is how you can tell when I really, really love the visuals of something, when I want to break it down this badly. Like, this, just a warning, this is probably going to be way longer than every other episode. But, man, this is just a treat, breaking all this down. It's so good to just, I don't know, I just love all this. Some great simulation work here. Got the cracks. This looks very CG, but obviously, if anyone tells you to do this practically, tell them to get stuffed. There's no way. It looks good. Doesn't like fully sell for the whole time, but the simulation work is fantastic. Same with this. Got some really cool stuff here. A bit messy for my liking. It's probably just like a stock element right there. I doubt you would do a particle sim for that one spark hit. This feels a little bit messy, but he's in the middle. Like, in context of the movie, a building is like getting destroyed around him. Like, it makes sense, but a little bit more contrast would be good. Just a little bit. Excuse me. I reckon I would probably like keep all this. I reckon I would just add like a slight grade at the end, just boosting the black point a little bit. to see if I don't know. Maybe this is a grading issue as well. Maybe they've lifted the black point. I don't know. But that's probably what I would do. I'd just probably sneak in a grade node, raise the black point ever so slightly, just to maybe even fade it off, so it's there and then it like goes away. Because you don't want to make this too black. You wouldn't be able to read it otherwise. Yeah, probably just sneak that in, just to try and get a little bit more contrast, because it just feels so messy at the moment. But it's a cool shot. I really like the shot. Very cool. Then we got more Fantastic Four looking great. Wait, Fantastic Four, obviously, that's all of them. What am I saying? More Human Torch. That's his name. That's his name. Got some nice lens dirt here. Love this. Yeah, it looks nothing to complain about. It looks great. Yeah, literally nothing to complain about. I really love all of this. The CG environment looks awesome. He looks awesome. The camera move is cool. Yeah, there's nothing. They cooked on this shot for sure. And then we have this one, which is where we get like the full look at him. This looks more like how I did at the movie, I'd say. Yeah. This looks final, I reckon. The fire is a bit better. His hair has more detail. Yeah. I'd say this, if this isn't final, this would be very close to it. Because, they were saving it for this. I love his blasts. They look cool. Even if they are a little inaccurate. It would be... Yeah, you wouldn't be getting these dark spots at all. You would not be getting those. But you need them for definition. That's just a rule of cool, again. And I love the lens reflections and stuff like that. That look fantastic. I gotta stop saying that. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna hate that word by the end of this. And then that's it. So we successfully turned 2 minutes into a 2-hour breakdown. Isn't that great? What a great first impression. A 2-hour podcast breaking down a 2-minute trailer. But what else could you expect? Huh? What else can you expect? I think this is a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be doing more of these. I think maybe in future there, I'll just go over a few key shots rather than every shot. I just love the visuals of this so much. It just looks so good. And I can't wait to see it in IMAX. It's such a... The whole team and the director, literally everybody involved did so good with this movie, and I love it so much that I just want to get my hands on it. I wish I worked on this so much, That's like the worst part of my job is the FOMO. I'm just like, everything that comes out where I'm like, that's so awesome, I wish I worked on that, oh my goodness. Like, even if I wasn't really looking forward to it, because I wasn't really looking forward to this, and it's like, man, I wish I did. I really wish I did. It's just so good. It would have been so awesome. But yeah, that's it. That's all we got time for. Well, we got time for more, but I don't feel like doing it. So that's that's the end of it. Thank you for listening. You can sub to the channel if you want to see more episodes like this, albeit much shorter episodes like this, because this is not sustainable. But yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. And I hope you're looking forward to this sort of podcast era, I guess, as much as I am. It's a lot of fun, and I will definitely doing more of them. So, yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys, and I'll see you next time.